If all the rumours are to be believed, this is Apple's final foray into the world of the iPhone mini, and as many creators out there will tell you, I think that's really sad. The people who buy these devices generally love them, and I know they'll be really sad to see them go. Last year, I actually picked up the iPhone 12 Pro as my default device, but when I had the opportunity to try the 12 mini, I wish back then I had bought that device, so I'm wondering if the 13 mini this year will be the way to go for me. For this video though, I just want to focus on the really important parts of the mini, what it's like to use on a day-to-day basis, how good the improved battery is, and what are those new cameras on the back like. Before we start though, and for transparency, Apple did send me this device, but they haven't seen this video before you, and they haven't asked me to say anything specific, and no money has exchanged hands. So if you do like those sorts of videos and aesthetic tech content, be sure to subscribe, and let's get right into it. Let's start with the size. The 13 mini is tiny. If you're coming from a larger phone in any form, this thing is really going to shock you of how little and light it does feel. I've recently been using a 12 Pro Max, and the difference between that and this is kind of staggering. But it didn't take too long to get used to at all, and it still retains what I found in the 12 mini. This is an instantly likable size. In fact, so you can see the difference, this is how it stacks up against the iPhone 12 Pro Max, a 12 Pro, and for good measure, here's the 13 Pro Max too. That size also means this phone can be a genuine one-hand experience. It harkens the return of one-handed typing, which I haven't done in the longest time. You can reach all corners of the screen with your thumb, which feels like a novelty turned superpower, and you can get a much better grip on the device as a whole, which is reaffirming if you're someone like me who doesn't use a case on your device. Despite its small size though, one of the best things I've found about these mini devices is they don't actually feel that small when you use them. Thanks to the screen size keeping a decent 5.4 inch, albeit with the shrunken notch at the top, there's still plenty of room on here to enjoy everything you do on the phone. The only real downside is in some gaming titles, where if you're playing with your thumbs on the screen, it might just take up too much space. In a very welcome move, Apple haven't skimped on anything in here either. It's just a shrunken iPhone 13, and that's a really fantastic thing to have. A lot of smaller phones often incur some sort of trade-off for the size, but not here. It's the same screen, processor, RAM, and camera system as the new iPhone 13, and that's awesome. It's a true mini powerhouse. Most importantly this time around, Apple says they've made the battery life on the iPhone 13 series even better than it was last year. So for the iPhone 13 mini, that means we're getting a slightly bumped up 2406 mAh battery, which is a little bigger than last year, and that combined with the new A15 processor should give us about 1.5 hours of extra time according to Apple, so let's put that to the test. Before we do that though, I do say this in a lot of videos, but I'm going to reiterate it here. Battery life is a really tricky metric to measure because we all use our devices differently, and not all of us have access to 5G, which is known to be a big power draw. So for context, I'm one of the latter. I don't live in a 5G area, and my average screen on time for a phone is between 2 and 4 hours a day. So my usage is going to be hugely different to yours. In a similar story to last year though, I'm finding the iPhone 13 mini to have totally decent battery life for my usage. I'm usually hitting my sweet spot of 2 to 4 hours of screen on time a day, with about 20 to 30% of battery remaining before I go to bed, which is usually around 11 PM. As you can see from these screenshots, most of my usage revolves around WhatsApp, social media, listening to music and watching YouTube. However, on my most full-on day, I managed to get a very respectable 4 hours and 40 minutes of screen on time, which I don't think anyone can really complain about. I think the key takeaway here with battery life is, for the average phone user, this battery will be fine. I would be more than confident to put this in my pocket and expect it to last all day, but remember that's based off my usage. This is a better battery than last year's model, there's no doubt about that, but it's still a small phone, and a small phone means a generally small battery, so just don't expect any miracles. Another big change this year to the entire 13 lineup was the new camera systems, which now house the bigger sensor from last year's iPhone 12 Pro Max, and to put it really simply, these are excellent cameras. The Mini has a wide and an ultra wide, and both of them do an amazing job in pretty much every situation. There's some interesting new camera features too, which allow you to pick different style modes which alter how the image looks, and this isn't just a weird little filter over the top, it changes the way the iPhone camera reacts and takes photos. And there's a few options to choose from, but I've settled on the rich contrast option, which gives everything a bit of punch and brings the camera a little more in line with something you'd expect from a Google Pixel phone, which is really nice. It's once again in video though where Apple just seems to continue their lead in the camera space. Foregoing anything like 8K filming, the iPhone's 4K footage is a consistent and extremely good performer, delivering stable, clean footage that you'd be hard pushed not to be happy with. This is also enhanced by Apple's new cinematic mode, which allows you to get that depth of field that so many of us like and is synonymous with films and TV shows. Despite it being locked at 1080p, in a good situation, cinematic mode can look really convincing, delivering that awesome depth of field effect, and it's intelligent too. You can change the amount of blur and even the focus after you've taken a video, which is pretty staggering. Overall, the camera system on here is utterly fantastic. I don't think anyone will be unimpressed with how this new iPhone performs. I'll finish up this review by saying this: if you're looking for a smaller device that's going to be supported for years, has an awesome camera system, and you can make the battery life work, now is the time to jump on it before Apple axes it. This may well be your last chance to get a mini iPhone. And look, this phone isn't made with power users in mind, so I wouldn't say you should pick this up if you love gaming or if you spend huge amounts of time on your phone, regardless of what that is. This device probably isn't quite suited for you, and you might be better off with the standard, Pro and the Pro Max models. At the start of this video, I said that last year I picked the 12 Pro as my default device over the 12 mini, even though in the end I kind of wished I hadn't. And I have a similar feeling this year with the 13 mini. I love everything about it, but on reflection, I do think the benefits of a bigger phone outweigh those of a smaller one, even for me who can make the battery life last. And now that the 13 Pro models have that 120Hz screen, that pushes me even further towards those devices. So I'll have to check that out before making a decision. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Anyway, that rounds up this video. Let me know what you think of the 13 mini in the comments section below, or just let me know if you're picking one up. Pop a like on the way out too, that would be massive, and I will see you all in the next one.